Baseball show today. We are giving you a WBC preview quickly of the two games that we have today, the Dominican Republic against Korea. We will also give you a preview of USA Canada. We're going to have Peter pick a winner. I already picked two winners. Spoiler alert, they're pretty darn chalky, but I think I had 8-2 DR over Korea, and then I had 5-1 US over Canada, or 6-1 US over Canada. So I got those out of the way. We will also give you notable stat projections for the 2026 MLB season. We didn't go Zips. Peter told me not to go Zips. We're going the Bat X. That's what I have right now. Jack and Peter on the Just Baseball show, Friday the 13th. Ooh, scary. Peter, who we brought to you by?
BetMGM. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code JustBaseball when signing up, and you will get up to a $1,500 new player offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code JustBaseball. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. And if that bet loses, you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. And the world's top baseball stars continue to go head-to-head in the World Baseball Classic. Join the excitement and make your WBC moment when you bet with boosted odds. Activate your odds boost token for any WBC bet, and you will receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. Again, the reminder code JustBaseball on BetMGM. And thank you to everybody joining us live here on YouTube. The best way to support these streams, make sure to smash that subscribe button and like button. And if you're listening to us on audio after the fact, best way to support, 5-star review. This is going to be a good one.
I'm excited. I'm going to give you hitter and pitcher projections, and I stuck with a lot of league leaders, but also some just interesting niche ones as it pertains to teams in particular. And I've got a little bit of trivia to accompany this for Peter, like just thinking about, hey, the projection systems, what's higher, a certain FIP or a certain ERA? So we shall see. And then Peter pulled some team projections as well. Before we get into any of that, I do want to give you the preview for a couple of the quarterfinal games that we have today. Reminder, we've got Japan, Venezuela, and Italy, Puerto Rico tomorrow, but I want to start with USA, Canada. Logan Webb gets the ball for the United States against Michael Soroka for Team Canada. Again, these are lineups chock full of big leaguers. The U.S. is full of all-stars, and Canada is full of role players to a certain extent. But this is going to be, it seems like, a better game that a lot of people would want to give it credit for on the outside looking in, so much so that the model spit something out for you, Petey boy.
The model certainly did, and it told me to back Canada, quote unquote, at home. Of course, it's, kind of a neutral site for both teams in Houston. I guess technically the USA would be the home team, but last at-bats go to Canada. It's Logan Webb on the mound for the United States and Michael Soroka on the mound for Canada. And Canada was a bet that we already cashed, especially in our Discord. And if you were following us on social media, I gave out Canada plus 400 to win Pool A, and it took them beating Puerto Rico and beating Cuba in order to win the pool. So they built a little bit of momentum. And if we're talking about a lack of momentum, I think the United States fits into that bucket. Now, a lot of people might say, well, after all the stuff with Mark DeRosa, after losing to Italy, not even winning the pool, don't you think that they're going to come out a little bit motivated? We've been kind of waiting for that the entire World Baseball Classic. So if it comes today, USA might blow them out. Of course, they have a better roster, but the model did spit out a 5-3 win for the United States. But I'm a gambling man. So when you're giving me plus 675 on the money line, for a team full of big leaguers led by the Naylor brothers, Owen Casey has had a great World Baseball Classic so far. And I got a big league pitcher on the mound and a couple of big league arms coming in after him. Plus 675, plus 4.5 on the run line when we get last ABs. USA is going to have to blow them out for these bets to cash, or for these bets to lose. And will Canada win? Probably not. But is the value on the Canada side? Absolutely.
So I will say this, the difference between starting pitching of Logan Webb versus Michael Soroka is drastic. Logan Webb is a guy that can, with 80 pitches maybe at his disposal, we'll see if he goes 70, 75 pitches, he can get you through 6 innings of really solid baseball. Soroka, maybe not so much. Soroka has had to sign back-to-back one-year deals. Logan Webb is on a $90 million contract. They are just different calibers of pitching. But Michael Soroka is still more than serviceable, and at the end of the day, this is a single elimination baseball tournament, and a lot of weird stuff can happen in a single elimination baseball tournament. I
And
do. Yeah.
it's easy to forget that the United States got stuffed in a locker by a pitcher of the name of Michael Lorenzen, the new Colorado Rocky, right? So again, if your point is the United States has a clearly better roster, hell yeah, they do.
Yes.
Does that mean that they'll win this baseball game with how they've played so far, which has been not great? The errors, the runners left on base. I think it's possible for Canada to sneak one out.
It's not like the Rockies got swept in every single series last year. I mean, they would take a game. It's just they wouldn't take 2 of 3. They would take 1 of 3. So we're talking about, again, a single elimination baseball tournament. It's very NCAA tournament-ish. And, sometimes 15 seeds beat 2 seeds. I'm not saying this is a 2 of 15, but it feels a little bit more like a 4 versus 13. And that upset happens all the time. So we shall see, man. I'm curious. It's going to be a good game. I just think in terms of like mental involvement from the United States, they were checked out. They got punched in the mouth by the Italians. If they're not going to be checked in for this one, they're never going to be checked in, and they would probably deserve not to win the tournament at that point. But I feel like they should at least have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder right now, given how pool play went for them, and they should punch them in the mouth early. And that's why I have 5-1. Honestly, I think 4 of those 5 runs come in the first 2-3 innings.
Plus 4.5 covers. Right. And I think Colin Stewart makes a really good point here. US will be pressing from the start because, again, all the pressure is on the United States. They should absolutely win this game. They have a much better roster than Canada does. And Canada knows it, which means they're going to be playing with nothing to lose. And it's already a young team that's kind of used to that. They were not the favorites to come out of their pool. They were already disrespected. So they've been proving the doubters wrong already, and now they have a game again where they're not expected to win anyway. I like that angle, playing fresh, playing loose, while the United States, tons of pressure on them, already bad press. They absolutely should be locked in, but will they? Right? I think it's easy to kind of stamp them and be like, USA is absolutely going to bounce back. I will pay to see it.
And time will tell. 8 p.m. first pitch at Daikin Park in Houston. Let's go to the 6:30 first pitch at Lone Depot Park in Miami. It's Korea and the Dominican Republic. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball for the second time in the World Baseball Classic. He was a bit underwhelming against Nicaragua in pool play. He opposes Hyunjin Ryu, who is still kicking, and we went through his baseball reference page, and we saw that this guy was 140 innings at a 3.2 ERA in the KBO last year. But Hyunjin Ryu is 38 years old. Hyunjin Ryu is a soft-tossing lefty against Christopher Sanchez. Pitching advantage, staunch for the Dominican Republic. Lineup advantage, nobody will ever hold a candle to this Dominican lineup that we have right now. That's why I have, I think, 8-1 or 8-2, the DR over Korea. But, man, I'm excited to watch Hyunjin Ryu try and massage his way through Tatis and Soto and Vladdy and Ketel Marte and J-Rod. It's going to be funny. I don't know if it's going to be enjoyable for Hyunjin Ryu, but you know what? We shall see in a matter of hours.
But isn't Hyunjin Ryu the exact type of pitcher that would just annoy the crap out of a team like the Dominican Republic, just nibbling on the corners? And we did just look, Jack and I are in the same spot. We're in Jack's apartment in Miami. And before we press the record button, we were talking about Hyunjin Ryu's numbers in the KBO, and he's coming off 140 innings at a low 3s ERA. It's obviously a different level of competition. You don't have to tell me that, but he's a professional pitcher that's been in plenty of big games before, and he's going to be ready for this one. And the Korean offense has also been pretty damn solid this year. They got an OPS right around 800. They kept it close with Japan. This is not a team that is going to roll over. The DR probably wins. But what I will say is, again, when looking at my model, it makes it closer than the betting lines would like to tell you. Because, of course, right now the DR should be prohibitive favorites, especially because they get last ABs. And the game is also taking place in Miami. So there's going to be a ton of fans in support for DR. An example of that would be the DR Venezuela game, where Lone Depot was packed to the brim. So they're going to get that home field advantage. They're going to get the energy. DR probably wins, but I don't want to spend a second here disrespecting Korea. They're a good team. They're a reason that they are here. I think they keep it close. I think they end up covering the run line of plus 4.5. Do they win the game outright? No. I think Canada has a better chance of upsetting the United States than Korea does over the DR.
High scoring or low scoring?
I'm going to go pretty high scoring. Like I'm thinking 7-5, 6-4, one of those type of games.
So a 2-run game. Like you really do see a 2-run game.
Yeah, like 7-4. Yeah, something in that range. My exact model prediction is 7.1 to 4.2.
Interesting. Okay. So we both have the Dominican Republic. We both have the United States, but you feel a little bit better about Canada's shot against the U.S.
You know what?
Korea's shot against the Dominican.
Canada's moving on.
You're just deciding that Canada's moving on.
That's going to be my pick.
Let's go.
Did
you give me a final score prediction?
Yeah, 5-3. Oh, well, that was technically my model score prediction, but now I'm going to pick Canada to win, which I did sprinkle a plus 675 for everybody listening. I'm going to go 4-3 Canada.
Okay, 4-3 Canada.
Michael Soroka twirls a 5-inning, 1-run performance, a lot of hard hit outs.
I love that. Yeah, right, the Cal Quantrill special.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm so in on that.
Diced, of course, to win Pool A. Who's on the mound? Cal freaking Quantrill. 0 earned runs, 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, punches out the last guy, gives us the classic Cal Quantrill roar after he exits the mound. He's the greatest athlete we've ever been able to witness.
I'm going to need you to define the word dice because there was a lot of hard hit baseballs there.
I don't need to define anything. It's in my mind. I saw him dice.
I understand. Okay, so you've got Canada. I've got the U.S. We both have the DR advancing over Korea. Again, those games, 6:30 Eastern at Lone Depot Park in Miami. That will be DR Korea, and then 8 p.m. Eastern in Houston. That'll be Canada and the U.S. at Daikin Park. So we're going to get to the notable projections. I'll start with my hitters and then pitchers, and then we'll wrap with Peter's teams in a moment. Before that, we shall whoosh. All right, let's start with my hitter projections here. And again, we're working off the Bat X, which is available at Fangraphs. All of these projections are consolidated and pushed out via Fangraphs. It's so much fun to look at. Yeah.
Real quick, Jack brought up Zips. It's a good projection system, but the Bat X and ATC, which you can find both on Fangraphs, they're absolutely free. Those have won back to back to back over the last 5 years awards for accuracy. So again, no disrespect to Zips or Steamer or any of the other ones. They have 8 different ones on Fangraphs that you can compare. But if we're looking at Fantasy Pros, where they give out awards for the most accurate predictions every single year, the ATC and the Bat X are routinely 1 and 2 for those awards. So we might as well go with the most quote unquote correct predictions. Obviously, not all of them are going to hit, but they give us kind of a gauge of where the smartest computer models might view certain players or certain teams compared to what the public thinks about them.
And our goal today on this episode is to identify the ones that are a little weird to look at. And why would they think this particular thing or this isn't right? We should dunk on the projection model. That's our goal, honestly, with this episode, because you want to look at the overwhelming majority of these and you just nod and say, yeah, makes sense. Like, let's play a game. Top 5, top 6 in F4 next year among position players. Who you got?
Yeah. Ohtani, Judge, it's going to be Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto. Who else would be up there?
Yeah, I mean, Cal Raleigh is 4th, right? Like Julio Rodriguez, Gunnar Henderson, Tatis, Vladdy. It all makes sense. Like all the best players are at the top, and there's no weird outlier in the top 10. You look at like projected strikeout leaders. It's Skubal, Crochet, whole bunch of guys like that. So it always makes sense, right? But there are some that don't make too much sense. And Podcast B, I know you're hanging with us in the background right now. Can you flash the 2 Diamondback headshots? I want to play a game. These 2 players, Geraldo Perdomo and Gabby Moreno, coming off of 2 very different years. What do they have in common on the Bat X projection system?
I'm going to go with F4.
They have the exact same projected F4. Geraldo Perdomo coming off of a 7-win season and Gabby Moreno coming off of, I believe, a sub-3 WAR season, are both projected to have a 3.2 F4 in 2026. And this is where you want to identify the weird happenings within these projection systems. Geraldo Perdomo, it seems like the Bat X is knocking him for only doing it one time. Was it a breakout year? Does he regress to his career norm? Although 3.2 would be a bit higher than any other year outside of 25 that he's given us. Gabby Moreno, they seem to love him. He's a contact-oriented, really good defensive catcher, so naturally the WAR is going to be a bit higher. But is that like the sole reason why you feel like they could be at the same exact projected F4?
Yes. And I think a big reason why I think this stat, like this conversation, is actually much more of a testament to Gabby Moreno than it is an indictment of Geraldo Perdomo. Because a 3.2 projected F-WAR, these projection systems are often more conservative than you might want, right? Aaron Judge is in 62, 58 home runs. He's never projected more for like 47 to 50 home runs, right? So they're always going to crunch them down a little bit more. So with Perdomo, he went 2-win season, 2.3-win season, then 7-win season. So what they have him is dropping down to a 3.2, but that would still be the second best season that he's ever posted. And it's not often that players make a jump of 5 F-WAR. It's much more likely that they start to fall back down to earth. What's working in Perdomo's favor, however, is elite plate discipline skills, and he's putting the ball in the air, and he's also a really, really good defender. So that's why the floor is high. But with Gabby Moreno, he's dealt with injuries upon injuries upon injuries. But when he's healthy, and I'm talking about fully healthy, I'm not talking about on the field when he's recovering from an injury or hiding an injury that he ends up going on the IL 2 or 3 weeks later. He's been one of the best catchers in baseball. We've seen him in the playoffs. He's a great defensive catcher. He has the ability to hit more home runs than he showed. He's got power in the bat, and he also displays borderline elite plate discipline skills. So again, I think this is more of a testament to Moreno than an indictment on Perdomo.
Yeah, and it rewards consistency, and it rewards also recent history for these guys. What's interesting to me is track record is certainly taken into account. And the other thing that was a little fishy to me that jumped out was Adley Rutschman's projected F4 here. Adley Rutschman is projected to be a 3.8 F4 type of player. This guy was the best catcher in baseball, 5.5, 6-win season consistently through his first, 2-3 years of Major League Baseball. But over the last couple of years, I know he's dealing with injury at points last year. This guy in 148 games in 2024 was a win shy of that. He was a 2.7 win player in 2024 compared to the projected 26 total of 3.8. Last year in 90 games, it was a year from hell, he had a 1.2 F4. So I look at that 3.8 number and I say they're banking on the track record of Adley Rutschman. I guess this projection system would take 22 and 23 a little bit more into account than a 24 and a 25. Obviously, it still is, because if it was only taking the first couple of years of Adley Rutschman into account, we're talking about this guy's a 5-6 win catcher. That's not the case anymore. But do you see 4 F4 in Adley's future in 26?
I can see the vision, because again, it's another guy who, despite all the offensive issues, still walked at a very high clip and didn't strike out really at all. Right? The batted ball quality came down a little bit. And we also have to remember this guy dealt with 2 separate injuries last season, the end of June and at the end of August. And if you look at what happened towards the tail end of his season last year, in August, he put up a 616 OPS. And then in September, it was 17 plate appearances. He got 1 hit and he posted a 449 OPS. But again, in June and July, it was an 890 OPS, 824, hit over 300 in both months. I'm not giving up on the bat. And then, of course, he does have a higher floor due to his defense. So 3.8, it's bullish. But if I think that Adley bounces back to 75% of what he was during those back-to-back 5-win seasons, that's where we get a 3.8 F4. I'm willing to, I'd rather buy that than he continues to struggle because of my faith in Adley.
And I look at the catcher rankings overall and the projected F4 totals and rankings among catchers. Adley's number 5 on this list. It's Raleigh, William Contreras, Will Smith, Alejandro Kirk is the 4 in front of him. And then right behind him, Shea Langoliers, Gabby Moreno, Pat Bailey, Austin Wells. So we're talking about a whole bunch of guys. Like, the stacking makes sense. Yeah. It's just crazy that I think the Bat X would be a bit higher on catcher WAR than I would be personally. Also, some funny quirks in there, and sometimes they're not fully updated. Like Hunter Green is still projected to throw a full season, even though that's not the case. We know he's going to have surgery done or has had some cleaning up done, and he'll be out until July-ish. But one of my favorite ones, Jurickson Profar still projected 48 plate appearances this year. I love that. That will not be happening.
Yeah. Well, and if you look too, I think Emmanuel Clase is projected to have an inning this year. And I think they're still doing projections for a certain old Tampa Bay Rays shortstop that will remain nameless on this show.
Dude, that's just tough. So
Yeah.
we just need to iron those out. And if we know somebody's playing zero, just have them play zero.
Sometimes the computer models forget. Because again, they're going off like Fangraphs roster resource and they're pulling all the names. And if the names are still on there, they're going to try their best because again, it's a model. It's not human beings doing it.
Sure. Just some funny names to throw at you. I looked at players with the worst WRC plus projected with 300 or more plate appearances. Nick Fortes is the worst at a WRC plus at 66. Kyle Isbell is projected a 68 WRC plus. And then Keibert Ruiz at a 68 WRC plus. And that name just kind of opened a can of worms to me. This guy signed a $50 million extension. I know it's a pretty light extension, but Keibert Ruiz is not a very good defender behind the dish, and he's projected to have a 68 WRC plus this year. That might be one of the worst extensions handed out in recent memory, and I don't really understand why they did it that quickly. They were so fast to move off. The Dodgers were so fast to move off of the idea of Keibert Ruiz. He was obviously the headliner in that Scherzer-Turner deal in 21 at the deadline. But I don't know, man. Keibert Ruiz, he's just a clog in that Nats lineup right now, and it's probably an immovable contract at this point.
I think that they thought the bat was going to be so safe because they see a young catcher come up and strike out 11% of the time. And they're like, his bat to ball is going to be so solid and he's going to develop as a defender. But the only thing that he's still doing is not striking out, but he makes weak contact and he's become one of the worst defenders like in baseball. Just last year, and it was a small sample, he was in the 6th percentile in blocking. He was in the 4th percentile in framing, and he was in the 10th percentile in pop time.
So bad.
Everything that has to do with a catcher, he was bottom 10 percentile. So if the defense is getting worse and as he matures, contact quality is getting worse, that results in a bad contract.
Yeah, 100%. I do have just one more fun quirk to throw at you because I didn't appreciate how gaudy this percentage was last year before a couple of trivia questions and our hitter conversation. Ronald Acuna Jr. is projected to be at a 13% walk rate. Now, before last year, his average walk rate over the course of his career was right around 11.5%, 12%. And I look at 13%, and I was like, I didn't think Acuna was that disciplined. You know, obviously you see like Soto and Judge's walk rate hovering around 17%. Acuna had a 17.2% walk rate last year in 95 games. It was injury hampered, but this guy hit like 290 with a 410 OBP. I didn't realize he was walking 17% of the time last year, but that just goes to show you Ronald Acuna Jr. is on the very, very short list of most feared and pitched around hitters in Major League Baseball.
Emphasis on pitched around. There are two players last year who saw a big climb in walk rate. Number one was Shohei Ohtani. And you might think to yourself, Shohei Ohtani? Well, the thing is, Mookie Betts was sick. He was injured. There wasn't a ton of protection around Ohtani as there has been in previous seasons.
Sure.
So his intentional walks doubled. He got intentionally walked 10 times in 2024, 20 times in 2025, and his walk rate climbed from 11% to 15%. And the same thing could be said about Ronald Acuna Jr., except taken to another level. With all of those Braves hitters getting hurt last year, why in your right mind would you pitch to Acuna? And we even saw that elite plate discipline come into play during the World Baseball Classic when he was taking on Venezuela and against Abner Uribe, who was throwing wiffle balls. I mean, to take a pitch is one thing. To be able to see that baseball takes a certain amount of skill, right? He was throwing fuzz balls. Acuna works a 10-pitch AB and takes his walk. He knows he's up there to hit the game-deciding home run, but he's not going to get out of his approach. And that's a real testament to Acuna as he matures as a hitter. He's not just going out there and trying to do damage, even though he totally can. He's going to take what the pitcher gives him and what makes him one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. You just got to stay healthy. So that doesn't surprise me that much. The 17% mark, that number in itself is shocking because, again, to your point, that's reserved for Judge and Soto. And it was only 95 games, but I expected to be around 13%. I think that's a proper projection considering the Braves lineup this year. I mean, guys are already falling. Guys are falling in the starting rotation. It's tough.
I'm curious to see how Walt Weiss stacks it with, Olsen. Olsen will probably, again, have a good year. And then you've got with Austin Riley, you're hoping for a bounce back from Riley and maybe a bounce back from Michael Harris. But I'm really curious about lineup construction and how much protection Acuna actually gets. Another fun one that Peyton Genis pointed out, Luis Arraez, the newest member of the San Francisco Giants, very hard to hit a home run in that ballpark, is projected for 0 homers. Mind you, this guy last week hit 2 homers in one game in a pitcher-friendly ballpark in Miami. Now, WBC Arraez and MLB Arraez are two very different things, but Luis Arraez, half a homer this year. Over or under?
I'll go over. I'll go over. One thing about Luis Arraez, though, I'm curious, how many ABs did they project for him? Do you have that offhand?
I don't have that offhand. I can get that very quickly.
Yeah, while you look, I think he might be projected for a lower amount of ABs than he might normally would because I do
608.
Really?
608 plate appearances.
I wonder what they think, how many ABs they think Casey Schmidt is going to get, because I would think that there would be some sort of a platoon there when the Giants are facing a left-handed pitcher. Potentially you sub out a rise for Casey Schmidt and his Gold Glove caliber defense, but 608 no home runs is objectively hilarious, but I will take the over.
Casey Schmidt is projected 281. That's pretty much a bench bat. So a rise 608. I mean, when you look at just total plate appearances for San Francisco, they project Devers and Adames both to be right around 650. And then Matt Chapman at 613. Arraez and Elliot Ramos are right there at 608. So
I like the Giants this year. I have some team ones on the Giants later that we'll get into.
Cool. I've got 2 trivia questions hitter-wise until we get to our pitcher projections. Who are the top 2 in projected strikeout total among hitters?
Ooh. Is Riley Green up there?
Riley Green is inside the top 6, but he's not in the top 2.
Is James Wood up there?
James Wood is second at 184. Mind you, he struck out 221 times last year. So they're thinking 40 fewer punch-outs this year. That is 221 last year, which was, I think, the 3rd highest total in baseball history behind Mark Reynolds and Adam Dunn.
Can I give you a sneaky one? Nick Kurtz.
Kurtz is top 10, but he is not number 1.
Who would be number 1? Not Schwarber.
Schwarber is number 3.
Okay, that's even higher than I would have thought it would be. Who is number 1? Can you give me some sort of hint?
He has 0 plate appearances in the big leagues.
Oh. 0. I mean, so we're talking about a rookie who's going to get a ton of runway in order to strike out that many times.
206 times.
Who would it be?
Meanwhile, 206 punch-outs he's projected to have, but he's also projected to have, I think, a 117 WRC plus.
Huh. DeLauder?
Munetaka Murakami of the Chicago White Sox.
I should have known that one. Yes, good one.
So Munetaka Murakami's projections are fascinating, and I know Peyton's fascinated by him as well. He's projected to be a 206 hitter and a 37.7% K rate, I think. But he's projected for 31 homers and a 117 WRC plus. The projections love him and hate him at the same time, and I don't really understand what the game is with Murakami. So Munetaka Murakami, just to give you the whole dashboard of what it looks like on the Bat X, 206, but with a 331 on base because they project for him to walk 14.7% of the time. 15% walk rate, 38% K rate, a 117 WRC plus, 31 homers and 12 bags.
So that immediately makes me think of Joey Gallo in his prime with the Texas Rangers from 2017 to 2019, it was 41 jacks, 40 jacks, 22 home runs, while maintaining a strikeout rate at about 37%, maintaining a walk rate at about 13 to 14%, hitting around 210 with a 330 OBP and a slugging percentage hovering just above 500. And Joey Gallo in those seasons was anywhere from a 2.2 win player to a 2.9 win player. However, Joey Gallo's defense was better than Munetaka Murakami. So the WAR projection for Murakami, what is probably high ones, low twos?
2.1.
So basically, this is Joey Gallo mid 2010s with the Texas Rangers. That's the archetype that they think Munetaka Murakami turns into. And doesn't that kind of make sense? Because he's got 80 grade raw power. The issue is he might have a 30 grade hit tool.
I mean,
and you're balancing that.
It might be a 25 grade, like it might be lower than 30 grade based on what they're talking about. A 205 hitter with a 38% K rate. The thing that is the saving grace is obviously the walks. But yeah, I mean, Gallo, like that is, it seems like the comp arm is throwing out Matt Wallner a lot, and that makes a lot of sense too. But you're going to see a guy that is as 3 true outcomey as any rookie in a long time in Major League Baseball. Maybe since Gallo, who got to 100, mind you, got to, and this is one of my favorite stats, 100 career home runs before he got to 100 career singles. Joey Gallo.
What a player. What a player.
Amazing.
Remember at the height of the 3 true outcome where big league front offices were like, we actually only want those guys. And I had to watch this Yankees lineup concocted of the greatest 3 true outcome guys. They didn't win.
The era of Yankee immobile pop was a sight to behold, and I hated it with a burning passion. It was the same lineup that featured Gallo, Josh Donaldson, Big G, Judge when he was super 3 true outcoming before he decided to be a 310 hitter. Like
Gary Sanchez.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
So brutal.
Brutal.
Last hitter one for you. Give me the top 4. Top 5. Give me the top 5 in projected batting average.
Ooh. Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. is number 3. He's tied for number 3 at 292.
Aaron Judge.
Judge is not inside the top 5.
The guy hit 330 last year.
I don't know what to tell you.
You know what? Let's scrap these projections. They're obviously wrong.
Okay. So Aaron Judge is projected to hit 287. That's 7th.
I'm going to go Luis Arias.
Luis Arias is projected 2nd at 295. 4 points behind the leader.
Bo Bichette?
No.
Michael Garcia? No.
Not Michael Garcia. Bo Bichette's projected 285.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who are like the Trey Turner?
Not Trey Turner.
Ohtani?
Not Ohtani. Trey Turner's projected 283. Ohtani is down there a bit.
Freddie?
Not Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's projected 270.
Kwan?
Not Stephen Kwan.
Who is it?
So there's a 3-way tie for number 3. All these guys projected at 292. You got Bobby Witt Jr., Jacob Wilson of the Athletics.
That's a good one. I forgot.
Yordan Alvarez.
I like that.
Projected 292.
Please stay healthy. Please. Please. He's the best. He's so much fun to watch. He's like on my Mount Rushmore of batters to watch day in and day out. We forget because he's been injured over the past couple of years. This is an auto 30 jacks, auto near 300, bunch of doubles, premier run producer, and just the scariest hulking human you've seen. And when you get to the playoffs, you're afraid of Judge, you're afraid of Soto, you're afraid of Ohtani. He's right there. Like, he is in the conversation. He is not on the outside looking in.
Without a doubt. So Yordan, by the way, a projected 160 WRC plus. That's only behind Judge, Ohtani, and Juan Soto. So he's projected 4th.
Deserved.
292 with a 387 OBP, a 16.5% walk rate, and 33 jacks are Alvarez's full projections.
Oh, Vladdy's got to be on there too, right?
Vladdy is number 1. Vladdy is 4 points higher than Luis Arias. So Arias is 2nd at 295. Vladdy is the highest projected batting average at 299.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That's really fun, right? So those are the hitter ones. Let's get to the pitcher ones now that I have for you. And I want to start with some trivia right away.
Okay.
Podcast P, help me out. Show me our king in Washington now. Miles Michaelis, one of the newest Washington Nationals. I want you to rank these numbers lowest to highest.
Okay.
Miles Michaelis projected FIP, his projected ERA, and his projected strikeouts per 9 innings.
Wait, should I just guess the numbers, or what do you mean rank them?
I want you to rank them lowest to highest. Like, what do you think is the lowest number of the 3 and the highest number of the 3?
Oh, because if it's like 5.14 Ks per 9, is that lower or higher than his projected ERA? Oh no! What a question. Okay, I'm gonna go. His ERA is the lowest number.
Wrong.
Let me just guess what it is, because I don't even know how to properly rank those.
Sure.
But you just told me it's wrong, so I'm gonna go. He's got a 5.18 FIP. He's got a 5.37 ERA, and he's got a 4.98 strikeouts per 9.
Okay, so you're not too far off.
Okay.
Ks per 9 is the highest number that he has at 5.44 projected strikeouts per 9.
Thank God.
5.44 strikeouts per 9, a 5.24 projected ERA.
Okay.
And a 5.11 projected FIP.
Due for positive regression.
They're all in the low to mid 5s.
Yeah,
That's
not
tough.
Yeah. The straight 5s across the board. But hey, Nationals announced Cade Cavalli is their opening day starter, not Miles Michaelis.
Yeah, that was fun. Watching Blake Butera tell Cade Cavalli that. Blake Butera is like small guy at 33 years old, and Cavalli's just hulking over him. And I'm like, these guys are 5 years apart in age or 6 years apart, whatever it may be. So it was a funny opening day video from the Washington Nationals. But yeah, that's Miles Michaelis. 3 guys are projected for 12 losses in Major League Baseball. You got any guesses for me?
Freeland.
Kyle Freeland.
Shigano.
Not Tomoyuki Shigano.
No
No other Rockies. I have another Rocky question for you.
Liberatore.
Not Liberatore. Think other very hitter-friendly ballpark. Not Cincinnati. So you got
Colorado.
Freeland in Coors. Who?
Okay, so in Oakland, Severino.
It's not Sevy, but it's another A.
Springs.
Jeffrey Springs is projected 12 losses. And then
Shout
another
out
guy
Jeffrey.
out west in that division.
Angels, not Soriano, not Kikuchi. Am I on the right track? Is it Kikuchi? Oh, it is Kikuchi. He's not going to get 12 losses.
I don't think so. I thought that was weird that Kikuchi was on that list, but yeah,
I could see Kikuchi going like 185 innings and going like 11-15 next year.
I could see that too. Just the king of the decision.
But like not a bad
out west Chad innings eater.
Yeah, not a bad ERA though, like 4.1. But he's just got a decision in every single start.
That would be pretty funny. So yeah, the 3 guys projected to lead baseball in losses: Kyle Freeland, Jeffrey Springs, and Yusei Kikuchi. How about this one? Minimum 10 innings projected for you. Minimum 10. Tiny bar.
This is so hard. Okay.
How many Rockies are in the bottom 12 in ERA? Minimum 10 projected innings.
Oh.
Of the bottom 12.
I'm going to guess 4.
Higher.
Ouch. 6.
Higher.
8.
Higher.
Oh, you're kidding me.
They hate this ballpark.
Yeah. 10.
10. 10 of the 12 lowest ERA or highest ERAs, projected. Minimum 10 innings pitched. 10 of the 12 highest belong to Colorado Rockies.
They're going to be wrong. I just posted on our YouTube page 4 win totals all towards the over. Hammered the Rockies over 52.5 wins. It's up to 54.5 now. I think they end up winning like 60. My win total projection, I have them at 62 wins. I think they'll be in the 60s. I don't really think it's that bad of a team. I mean, it is, but it's not nearly as bad as everyone wants to make them out to be.
They have a heck of a lot more talent in the starting rotation. They paid some veterans, right? Quintana, Lorenzen coming in, Shigano coming in. Like it's a net positive.
Lineup 2, Willie Castro, Jake McCarthy, Edouard Julien, like they brought in some adults.
And it seems like they're figuring out first base too. Like Rumfield might be the first baseman, Condon at some point this year. It's going to be fun in the outfield. Like they've had some guys perform well, but yeah, just notable numbers in that. Jose Quintana is a projected 6.18 ERA. That's the highest in baseball. Michael Lorenzen 6.10, Tanner Gordon 5.92, Freeland 5.87, Dolander 5.84, which sucks. I hope
not buying any of that. Like I don't think these guys aren't putting up 6 ERAs. They're not going to.
I'm with you. But the only two guys in the bottom 12 in ERA and minimum 10 innings that are not Colorado Rockies, Sam Aldegheri of the Angels and Team Italy in 38 innings is up there, and then Herman Marquez.
He was just announced the starter for Team Italy against Puerto Rico literally 30 seconds ago.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So Aldegheri's in the bottom 12 in projected ERA, and then Herman Marquez in 100 innings is projected to be bottom 12 in ERA as well. Holds, top 5 in projected holds. What you got? Not Kittredge.
Actually, Brian Abreu, is he still? Because Hader's going to start the year on the IL.
Hader's hurt. Abreu is not, but another Astro.
Brian King.
Okay.
Who else? Who are just the freaking holds accumulators? We got to appreciate these guys because how else are you going to get to the 9th inning?
Do you want me to give you teams?
You can give me divisions.
Give you division? Okay, there's one in the NL West.
Do they have Tanner Scott that high?
No, not Tanner Scott, but another Dodger.
A different Dodger? Blake Trinan?
What lefty gets the 8th?
Tanner Scott.
No. What lefty gets the 7th?
Vesia. Okay.
Vesia.
Is it still in the same division for the next ones?
2 in the AL East, 1 in the AL Central.
AL East?
Camilo 2 in the AL East. Who?
Camilo Doval.
Not Doval.
Clevenger for the Rays.
Not Garrett Clevenger.
Red Sox Whitlock.
No, but a different Red Sox.
Slayton?
No.
Weissert.
Greg Weissert. If I were to take an espresso shot.
Me this for everybody listening on audio. Jack just did the slider grip and it immediately gave me Greg Weissert.
Greg Weissert. Okay. How about Toronto? Who you got in Toronto?
Toronto, Hoffman. No, I'm in my own head going down their line. No way, it's Fluharty. Goddamn, because Dominguez is gone. Who's setting up games for the Blue Jays this year? I feel like a casual.
Louis Varland, but it's not Louis Varland. Who did they just bring in? 3-year deal.
Tyler Rogers.
Is top 5 in holds.
I should get kicked off the podcast for forgetting that. That's on me, Blue Jays fans. Total brain fart here in the morning. I've been doing pretty good on this trivia so far that I got to extend the people of Toronto an apology. Hopefully I already made it up by picking Canada over the United States earlier.
Last guys in Kansas City. What you got?
After Estevez,
it's not Urseg.
I know. What? And I don't know.
New to the fold. Trade. I
forget.
Matt Strahm, baby. Nicholas Cage. The Declaration of Independence.
The farther we go along, and I'm supposed to be a holds appreciator, just, again, extending apologies out to the Kansas City Royals fan club.
I know. One last one for you, and I won't make you guess this one because Peyton's got to get picked up at some point very soon because we're getting down to Miami for the World Baseball Classic. But last pitcher one for you. 6 guys are projected to face 750 hitters or more this year. Pretty direct correlation with innings pitched, but just a slight deviation. Logan Webb, Framber Valdez, Mitch Keller of the Pirates, Zach Gallen back in Arizona, and Sandy Alcantara. Those guys are projected to face the most hitters in Major League Baseball this year. Real quick before we get to the team projections that you want to hit on here, I do want to tell you about our friends at Visual Edge, because if you're in pro ball, you live on buses and in hotel rooms. So here's the question. How are you developing on the road? Visual Edge lets you train your visual processing and pitch recognition from virtually anywhere. All you need, laptop or tablet, anything bigger than a phone, 15 minutes and you're good. You start with the Edge test and you see how you rank against other pros. Then follow a personalized plan built around your results. This category of training has been used by big leaguers like Aaron Judge, Nico Horner, Tommy Edman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, because seeing the ball a fraction earlier matters. Listeners can use code JBSHOW for their first month free 3D glasses, free shipping, and you can cancel at any time. Go to visualedge.com/sign up and use code JBShow. That's visual with a Z. If you're chasing the call, control what you can control. Time for your team projections.
All right, let's start with these team projections. And again, following the same theme of interesting. Padres are currently, I think, minus 125 to make the playoffs on BetMGM, which means the implied probability of that is about 55%. Fangraphs could not disagree more. The Padres are at 27.6% chance to make the playoffs, according to the BatX, and ATC is even lower, 22.9%. And if you're curious where the Diamondbacks and the Giants rank within there, on the BatX projected the Padres to finish third to Arizona, and ATC has them projected to finish fourth to the Giants and the Diamondbacks, of course, with the Dodgers above them. I think I know why. Because I think when you simulate out the Padres season, more often than not, the starting pitching staff falls below expectations. You have Michael King returning from an injury. You have Nick Pivetta already dealing with elbow issues. You have Joe Musgrove, who hasn't pitched in a few years and is returning from injury and is in his early to mid 30s. You have Randy Vasquez, who, put up a really solid ERA in the threes last year with a 5.37 expected ERA. And then you look at the depth. Griffin Canning, Matt Waldron, Yu Darvish, all of them are either hurt or considering retirement for the latter in Darvish. So I think you look at the Padres and you see Tatis, Merrill, and Machado, and good lineup depth with Cronenworth and Bogarts, and you see an unreal bullpen. You see them win 90 games last year, and you think they're too star-studded at the top. The problem is, if anything were to happen to those stars, you could end up having a really, really bad season. So I bet when they simulated it 1,000 times, 200 of those scenarios, guys stay healthy, Padres put up 90 wins, and they make the playoffs again. But the larger majority of those simulations showed the Padres falling flat due to a lot of the not great stuff happening in their rotation.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And listen, the lack of depth is a conversation that we have had so many times over the course of this podcast history, right? We're going on, I think, season 5. I think this is of us covering it, right? 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, season 6. That's unbelievable. But we're going on season 6 talking about baseball here, and it feels like each of these 6 seasons, we're talking about the Padres saying, if something goes wrong, it could go very poorly. And not enough has gone wrong for it to go really, really poorly for them over the course of that. But, again, we are 2 bad breaks away from things not happening for them. God forbid Bogarts gets hurt. What's the plan? God forbid Tatis gets hurt. What's the plan? Merrill gets hurt. What's the plan? They don't have a farm system anymore. So I'm just curious to see how it shakes out, man.
Exactly. And if we're moving on to the next one, Cleveland Guardians won the division last year. 10.6% chance of making the playoffs per ATC, 5.5% per the BatX. And again, I think it's another example of when you simulate out the Guardians season, who are the bats that are going to step up beyond Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan. They're relying on a lot of younger guys who haven't proven a lot so that the projections can't take that into account. Then you look at the starting rotation. Gavin Williams burst onto the scene last year. You and I are both really high on him. However, underlying ERA predictors were sitting in the 4s. Same with Tanner Bybee. And then you have Slade Ciccone, who also outperformed. And, you have Logan Allen and you have Joey Cantillo, a couple of those names you like, but looking at strictly numbers, the majority of that rotation got pretty lucky last year. And then you consider the bullpen, and I think we see a great bullpen, and we just assume that they're going to be great forever. But we see how up and down some bullpen arms are. We know that. We've seen it time and time again. So it's these teams that are, their strength is their bullpen. And I think those often fall short of expectations. And the Guardians, I think, are a good example. However, I'm not here running to bet against the Guardians or anything. Do I understand why projection systems might be lower on them? What have we coined the term guard ball for? Plenty of times, right? It feels lucky. It feels magical. Computer models are not able to capture that. So I'm less inclined to trust them on the Guardians. I did just want to bring that up because it's so alarming. It's shocking. 10%, 5.5%.
Sub 6% is crazy. And the A's being a higher probability to get in the postseason, I know the A's lineup is good and the A's lineup is going to bank. They don't have enough warm bodies to pitch and get them through the whole year, to be honest with you. Like guard ball is always going to be something that models will discount, right? Because you love homers and you love walks, and the Guardians don't really walk and they don't really hit homers. So they're going to have to BABIP their way to wins, and they always do it, it seems. So out of principle, I have to vehemently disagree with that. I understand why computers may not like them, but that's why you slap the toothpick in and you appreciate what happens on the field.
I understand where you're coming from there. Next one. When I made my win total projections, I'm pretty high on the Yankees. I'm not quite as high on them as ATC or the Bat X. The Yankees have the second highest odds to win the World Series per the Bat X. ATC has them tied with the Mariners. So my question to you is, the Dodgers are obviously World Series favorites. Do you agree with the projection systems that if you were to pick another team, it would be the Yankees? And again, I think the reason American League teams are looked on a little bit higher is because National League teams have to go through the Dodgers in order to win the World Series. So if you're like, well, the Phillies are better, the Mets are better, the Brewers or Cubs are better than the Yankees, you can make that argument. But in terms of percentages, you're going to probably have to go with an American League team. And when you look at the American League, Blue Jays went to the World Series last year. Mariners look like they have the best roster. The Tigers are very good. The Red Sox are very good. The Orioles are improved. And the Yankees don't have Garrett Cole or Carlos Rodon or Clark Schmidt to start the season. But would you still agree that the Yankees should be the second favorites?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I think that Seattle and Toronto in pretty much every simulation should be viewed in higher regard than the Yankees. I think the Yankees should probably be comfortably third in this conversation. Seattle, I don't believe anything that doesn't have Seattle as the favorite to get out of the American League at this point, because Seattle, what they did to the lineup this offseason on top of what they have in the bullpen, like they added Jose Ferrer to that bullpen and they lost nothing. Bizzardo is still there. Spire is still there. Obviously, Brash and Munoz are still there. And you bring in one of the better lefty relievers in the game in Ferrer to come help you out. That lineup got better. They bring Naylor back. They add Brendan Donovan, and the pitching staff is the exact same. Do I understand that they may lack some starting pitching depth? Sure, but Seattle should be the favorite in the American League. And then the Blue Jays, man, like you get a full Uriah Savage. You add Dylan Cease, you add Okamoto. There's enough added here. I understand that you lose Bichette, but I don't know. I understand why they'd be bullish on the Yankees because it is the team that includes Aaron Judge, and they love Jazz Chisholm, understandably so. I just feel like that lineup lacks some bottom-end talent. I also feel like the bench lacks some talent overall in Yankee land. And you mentioned the pitcher injuries. Listen, I love Schlittler. I'm buying a lot of stock in Cam Schlittler this year. But how good is Cole going to be when he comes back? How good is Schmidt going to be when he comes back? So there are enough questions to me to push them down to third.
I think that's fair. I think what the projection systems are putting in there is if the Yankees make the playoffs, which they probably will, then you're going to have a rotation of Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, and maybe even Ryan Weathers breaks out. And in short series, if they do come back to 80% of what they were, that's about as good as a playoff rotation as you can get. So I think actually, like, for example, my win totals, I have the Mariners at 91. I have the Blue Jays and Yankees both at 89. I think a regular season, that feels fair. But when they all get into the playoffs, I could see the Yankees projected to win more often than the Blue Jays, at least when we're comparing.
Because it's just a bunch of big swings and starting rotation matters.
Do I think the Blue Jays could still win this division over the Yankees? Yes, I do. I actually have them at the exact same win total, with the Mariners 2 wins higher, which is actually, based on my win totals, like a good chunk higher. Like, I think the Mariners should be the prohibitive favorites in the American League. That's how I have them priced. So I'm differing a little bit from the projection models where they like the Yankees.
Yeah, I'm totally there as well. You got 2 more, right?
Yep, I got 2 more. So the next one, again, this would be a quicker one. ATC has the order of finish for the NL East being the Mets, then the Phillies, then the Braves. The Bat X has it Phillies, Mets, Braves. So my question to you would be, which way are you leaning? Do you agree more with the Bat X with the Phillies at the top? Or do you agree more with ATC with the Mets at the top? Or do you disagree with both and you think the Braves end up winning the division?
No, I probably line up a little bit more with what the Bat X, right? The Bat X is the one that has, Philly. No, I actually agree with ATC a little bit more. I think the Mets, with what the Mets did this offseason, it just makes a little bit more sense to me. It feels like the Mets went into this offseason with the goal of elevating their floor. I feel like the Mets are probably the favorite to win the National League East here. But I guess it's a little open right now. I think the Braves are clearly on the outside of that conversation looking in, and it becomes a Philly Met conversation. I like the rotation depth of the Mets a little bit more. I like the Philly bullpen more. The lineups are sort of kind of a wash for me, but year 2 for the Soto Lindor tandem at the top, and you bring in a Bichette, I think the Mets are probably the favorite in the National League East going into this year.
It's funny. I originally, like, before I ran any numbers, I agreed with you. And then I ran my numbers and I have the Phillies as the second best team in baseball. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I put in all the data and it spit out Phillies as the second best team in baseball. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, why? Everyone's getting older. But then you look into the data and there's no, like, Schwarber's going to be awesome. Trey Turner's going to be awesome. Bryce Harper's diminishing a little bit, but he's still Bryce Harper. And then you look at the rotation. All right, I'm probably going to get 20 to 25 starts from Wheeler. Christopher Sanchez is all world. Jesus Zardo just got extended and deserves it and probably puts up one of the better seasons in the National League. And Aaron Nola is still a solid 4. So if Painter comes up and helps, or they're able to piece together that 5 spot, that's an elite rotation and they have an elite bullpen. So in theory, yes, the Phillies are getting older, but when I dove deeper into it, there's nothing in the data that says they're aging in decline quickly, outside of maybe JT Realmuto. But he also didn't give them that great of a season last year, and they won 96 freaking games. 96 games. So me lowering their win total to 91, that's a 5-game drop-off from last year. And that's the second best team in my model, well, tied with the Mariners. And I'm actually, and the more I look into it, I'm like, I'm very pro Phillies this year. I think they absolutely will be one of the top 3 teams in Major League Baseball.
2 biggest pieces of this conversation, then I'll let you get to your last one. No Ranger Suarez is huge. And Zach Wheeler missing a month, and who knows what he's going to look like after thoracic outlet surgery. That's number 2. Like, it's 40% of their starts here in Ranger Suarez and Zach Wheeler. That is why I lean Mets, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
But again, Wheeler only gave them 24 starts last year. So if he just does the same thing again.
I know, but he was on the front end of that injury. Now he's on the back end of that injury.
Full year of Yohan Duran also in the bullpen.
It helps.
But without Matt Strahm. Again, yeah, I lowered the win total by 5 wins, which is a decently steep drop-off. But I just don't feel the need to drop them any further. And to be perfectly clear, I also think the Mets are awesome. I have the Mets at 89 wins. So tied with the Yankees, tied with the Blue Jays, still a top 5-6 team. But then I'm getting kind of low on the Braves here. I mean, not that low. I have them at 85 wins. I still think that's pretty solid. But I agree more with the Bad X. I would go Phillies, Mets, Braves. You agree more with ATC where you're going Mets, Phillies, Braves.
Yep. Last one, baby. I actually have the Marlins up there, obviously.
Yeah. But Marlins winning the division. So I think the most interesting one, ATC has the Pirates finishing in front of the Brewers in the NL Central standings. The Bad X has Brewers slightly higher, but both finishing definitively behind the Cubs. The Cubs almost 50-50 to win the division. Pirates around 20 to 27%. Brewers ranging from 19 to 21%. However, these projection models have been perpetually low on the Brewers, time in and time out, and they continue to break the models, kind of similar to the Cleveland Guardians. These two teams are just model breakers. However, Brewers aren't a perfect team, and with Quinn Priester dealing with injuries when you've already lost a couple of pitchers like Freddie Peralta, I could see the Brewers being in the mid-80s. And again, this is a big jump for the Pirates, but I slam their over as well. I love how they're pitching. Their starting rotation has evolved. And you bring in all those bats, they're going to be terrible defensively. But the way to hedge some defensive concerns is if your rotation has a high strikeout rate. Bubba Chandler, Braxton Ashcraft. We don't even have to mention Paul Skeens. And then when Jared Jones comes back, these are all guys who are going to post strikeout rates well above league average. So I think that they could sneak into the playoffs. And that's why, again, I also bet Don Kelly to win Manager of the Year at 15-1.
They're going to be good. They're going to be better than what they were over the last couple of years. I question their ability to field a ground ball or catch a fly ball, but you know what? Only time will tell with that. They might be the worst defensive team in baseball, but if they hit with that pitching, they could set themselves up for mid-80 win total.
Yeah.
I will say this feels less like a testament to the Pirates and more like an indictment on the Brewers.
I agree.
I don't really understand how we got here with Milwaukee because Brandon Woodruff is healthy this year. Mizorowski, you get a full year of him. I understand the Priester injury is a huge blow, but it's also a nerve issue and he's throwing a bullpen. Like, it's not a surgically related TOS issue. The bullpen is gross for Milwaukee, and they still have Churio, Yelich, William Contreras. This is more of an abhorrent take than the Cleveland one. I understand why Cleveland could be a mid to high 70s win team. I don't see a world where Milwaukee is finishing third in this division.
Yeah, I think the Brewers will take a step back, but I agree with you. I think this is too big of a stretch. But I think what they're looking at is a lineup where half of it could be pretty bad. And what I mean by that is guys like Andrew Vaughn or Luis Rengifo, Garrett Mitchell, Joey Ortiz. What does Sal Frelick give you? Is Christian Yelich still the same guy at 34 years old? Was Bryce Terang a flash in the pan? Even if it kind of similar to Perdomo, let's say he takes a small step back, right? And if William Contreras is a 4.5 win player and Jackson Chourio doesn't take an MVP leap, the offense could struggle, even though they have really good pitching. However, that is the most negative outlook you could possibly take on the Brewers. They still have great pitching. They're well managed. They're really sound on all sides of the ball. They're a good base running team. They're a great defensive team. They just know how to play baseball. There are other teams that are more talented. There are a few teams who play the game of baseball better than the Milwaukee Brewers. And it's really hard for projection systems to account for that, right? Like when I ran my numbers, I have the Brewers at 86 wins. I'm higher than every single projection system, but I almost have to like feed it numbers that like aren't real to boost them, because my original sim had them at 83 and I was like, I'm not believing this. I am not believing this. So I basically increased it to 86, like trying to feed it some things, which is not a good thing to do, but I just can't fathom the Brewers being around 83. Like, I still think 86 is low. I think they're going to win 88 games to 90.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. So, no, we'll see how the NL Central shakes out. But, yeah, I thought this was a crazy indictment on the Brewers. But take us home, baby. We got some WBC to watch.
We do. We got some World Baseball Classic to watch, and hopefully you will as well. Make sure if you enjoyed the stream live here on YouTube, make sure to like the video before you bounce and hit that big red subscribe button so you never miss another show. And if you're listening after the fact on audio, best way to support, leave a 5-star review. And if you have a couple more seconds, a written review would be very, very kind. Make sure to go get your Just Baseball merch. You can find the link to that in the episode description. And if you want to join the best baseball group chat in the world, we're getting close to opening day here, folks. Yankees, Giants, March 25th. 12 days until opening day. Make sure to join the best baseball group chat in the world to have fun with us throughout the MLB season. You can find the link again in the episode description. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Apple. Have a great weekend. And with that, thank you, everybody.